Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian P. Easton, and I am the author of the autobiography of the Werewolf Hunter book series. I'm also your host for a little thing that we call Whiskey with the Werewolf Hunter. Welcome back to the Werewolf Bar, folks, for our May edition of the show. We're glad to have you tonight, and we're going to show you tonight some trailers from werewolf movies you might not have seen. And I'm going to read something to you that I found interesting as related to the book series. Doc has found himself double booked on jobs this month, and so we'll be without the benefit of Doc Talk Shop. And Tex is working on a special edition of Tools of the Trade, and hopefully we have that for you next month. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let me introduce you to our creature of the night. This is Rebel, a wheated bourbon from Luxrow Distillers down in Bardstown, Kentucky. And it is the newest member of the Rebel Bourbon family. At 100 proof, it is basically their award-winning Kentucky straight bourbon kicked in the pants a little bit up in proof. And so let's give it a try. Bardstown, Kentucky. Lots of good things coming out of there. To you. Okay. Now, like I said, this is a wheated bourbon, which means it uses wheat as the secondary grain in its mash bill. If you'll remember, all bourbon has to be at least 51% corn to qualify as bourbon. And the recipe uses wheat instead of the traditional rye as that second grain, which gives it a somewhat softer flavor profile than the rye would. But at 100 proof, it's no less intense for that. Quick update on the Winterfox Journals Book 3. I have been slowly but steadily moving forward with the first chapter, which finds Michael right in the middle of the Middle Eastern theater of the Great War, where he's recently been deployed. He's trying to report for duty with the Egyptian Expeditionary Force, to which he's been assigned as part of the Sinai Palestine campaign. And you know, the more I write about this, the more I realize how many people, including myself, don't know about this facet of World War I. Even at the time, Europe, especially Britain, considered the Middle Eastern theater a lesser front to the Western Front, and of relatively minor importance. Of course, this was a world war. So to the Ottomans, to the Australians, New Zealanders, and everyone else in that quarter of the world, it definitely wasn't considered minor. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to get into some boring presentation on the history of the First World War. However, I am going to write the hell out of it and make the boring parts seem interesting through the character of Michael Winterfox. That's my goal. And I'll give you updates on my progress as the months go by. Now, my book series has covered a lot of ground, and I'm not talking about just geography, although they are all over the place geographically, as seen in The Lineage, which is the last book of the original trilogy. But also thematically, it runs the gamut of drama and adventure and horror and even speculative history. So before we take a look at some of these werewolf movie trailers, let me read ChatGPT's summary of my books. I simply asked it to tell me what it knew about them, to see what someone might find if they were to ask the same question. I wanted to see how I was being represented by AI, and I also wanted to share this because I tend to take more for granted that anyone who has viewing this channel must have read the books, even though I know that that's not so. So I think it's good to go over some of this stuff, if just for the benefit of the people who may have just dropped by off a stray link, or some people are tuning in for the first time tonight. Anyway, here's what ChatGPT has to say about the first three novels in the Autobiography of a Werewolf Hunter series. So, the Autobiography of a Werewolf Hunter series by Brian P. Easton is a gritty, supernatural horror series that chronicles the brutal, lifelong crusade of Sylvester Logan James and his mentor, Michael Winterfox, against a race of genuinely evil werewolves. Unlike typical urban fantasy, the series is a dark character study on the eroding effects of vengeance and hatred, and the core trilogy follows Sylvester's evolution from a traumatized child into a relentless, borderline, psychotic anti-hero. For the first book, spanning over 30 years, the story begins with a young Sylvester witnessing his father's murder by a werewolf. He is taken in by Michael Winterfox, a Cheyenne mystic who trains him in the lethal traditions of the Redosnan Dogman Society. Sylvester's hunt takes him from the Vietnam War to the Canadian wilderness as he sacrifices his humanity to become a better predator. Heart of Scars, Book 2. After decades of warfare, Sylvester struggles with the physical and spiritual toll of his mission. He must contend with ancient entities like the werewolf Peter Stubb and the cannibalistic Wendigo while facing a growing fear of his own damnation. The Lineage, Book 3. The final chapter takes Sylvester across the globe from Belize to the Himalaya, as he is drawn into an ancient power struggle between werewolf factions. The trilogy concludes with a fateful confrontation involving the first beast prince and secrets regarding his own bloodline. Now, I would say that that is interesting and pretty close to the mark, I would say. Now, let's pause right there for a minute, and let's get into some of these werewolf movie trailers. Now, some of these have already been released. In fact, I think the first three you're going to see are all from 2024. So they're out there. Whether you've seen them or not is a different story. And some of them, like the ones later on, they've not been released yet as far as I know. They're 2026. So some are going to be no doubt cringeworthy, and some maybe not. Your mileage may vary as we play for you these first three trailers back to back.
Bite?
It's this new app I found, and it claims to give you supernatural powers. After you download the app, you need to order the werewolf's blood.
What happens after you get this blood?
We need to perform this ritual under a full moon in a graveyard.
You guys, I'm really not liking this.
I'm gonna need everyone to focus, please, because it's about to get real.
Do you remember Katie Monroe? They found her body in a dumpster.
Did someone or something seek her out? Or was something or someone possibly a werewolf?
Whoever sent the werewolf's blood to Jet may be behind this. All of this mayhem and murder started on the full moon.
Or they're trying to set Jet up.
This is crazy talk. He's ripping me to shreds. This thing is going viral. How long do I have to wait for you to start barking at the moon?
So don't you mess around. No hay mayor castigo para un hombre con conciencia que su pecado. La tierra es familia. Si traicionas a tu familia, la tierra te maldice. ¿Cuántos años tiene el chaval? ¿Ha salido cazador? Ya te has hecho novio.
La sierra cambia a las personas, Eladio. Los curte, los endurece. Y a veces es tarde para darse cuenta.
¿Eladio? ¿Qué haces por aquí?
Yo la perdí un par de días.
La tierra te maldice, Eladio. Te corrompe. Y cuando te ha envilecido, te manda tu sangre.
Aquí solo. Yo no podría.
No voy a irme. Yo no tengo culpa. En mayor o menor medida, todos somos culpables.
So that was Bite, B-Y-T-E, Cocaine Werewolf, and The Wait. A mixed bag, with The Wait definitely looking like the strongest entry so far. Before we take a look at some more, let's see what AI has to say about the Winterfox Journals. The autobiography of a werewolf hunter saga continues with the Winterfox Journals, a dark historical prequel series to the original trilogy. It documents the early life of Michael Winterfox, the Cheyenne mentor of Sylvester James, detailing his own brutal path as a monster hunter through his private records. The series is currently divided into two primary volumes. Book 1, which they call The Frontier Legacy. Set in the late 19th century American frontier during the aftermath of westward expansion, the story follows a young Winterfox among the Northern Cheyenne. He is the sole heir to an ancient family blood feud against the beast that dates to the era of Spanish conquistadors. The novel explores his coming of age in a world where magic and monsters still walk alongside the mundane, and his induction into the Redosnan Dogmen Warrior Society. Book 2, which they call The Great War. Moving to 1915, a youthful Winterfox joins the Canadian military to fight in World War I. His motivation is not patriotism, but the pursuit of a specific ancient adversary, the Beast Prince Lucane. While surviving the horrors of the trenches, Winterfox uses his Cheyenne skills to battle both German soldiers and supernatural threats, including a newly introduced type of werewolves, ghouls, and specters. And they have here key narrative differences between the original and the prequel series. So it says, while Sylvester James is driven by a black gall of hatred, Winterfox is portrayed as a more composed, duty-bound warrior. He isn't anchored by the same level of raw emotion. Instead, he operates as a refined monster hunter who balances physical, mental, and spiritual aptitude to fulfill his lineage's calling. Again, I think that hits pretty close to home. So I'm satisfied with what a prospective reader might find were they to ask AI about my series. There's some more here that it wrote, but I believe it's just more or less a retread of what's already been stated. Now, here's 3 more werewolf trailers.
When it is near, you can feel the air clad in cold.
Recent events compel us to take heed. Our children are missing.
Listen here. The words I appropriate now on account of unsolicited whispers.
Ryder came in and said the bodies are, well, it ain't natural.
He's gone, Frank. My boy is gone. Henry!
You're not the only mother whose child's missing.
I need order. None of this talk of missing children, crying mothers.
Henry is not lost. He was taken.
Henry's back.
What?
There is a darkness here.
Something is wrong.
Yes. Something is amiss.
He's here. Where have you been?
Waiting for you. We have to tread carefully here. Do you have any idea what this is? You are all messing around with things you have absolutely no idea.
What do you think archaeologists do, mate?
I think maybe we should stop working and set up camp before the darkness creeps up on us.
Tell us what is going on now. Everything!
There's a curse in the Iron Woods. Centuries ago, it was bound here.
How do we kill something like that?
So to end it, we need to bind it again.
Are you sure about this?
I have to do this, okay? It has to be me.
Are you sure this is the right address? Where are you guys?
So hot. This place does not look like any of the photos online. The energy in the country is magic. Do they even have Wi-Fi? How am I gonna post? The less city lights we have around us, the stronger our connection to the moon. Ew. What's a generator? Think like homeless encampment. I'm your Airbnb host. We're gonna recharge, get back to nature, connect, but most of all, get all the content. Hey. What was that? That was a beautiful sign from the universe. Can't we just take shots now? Girls? No! Sit down! Why? She could be the killer. And I made you some cookies, too. Are they vegan? I think it was a werewolf. Ooh, yeah, growl at me, Daddy. I like it. I couldn't find a first aid kit, but I found my lavender hand sanitizer spray. I really am gonna die. Go ahead, you go!
Wolf and the Lamb, Werewolf Blood Inheritance, and Models versus Werewolves. with a surprisingly strong werewolf depiction in that last one. All of those, by the way, as I said, are 2026 releases. So keep an eye out for those if you're interested. Like I've said before, I forgive cheesy dialogue and bad acting and a lackluster plot if it has a good-looking werewolf in it. This seems to be the real pain point in a lot of these indie-type films. Well, last call for alcohol at the Old Werewolf Bar, and I'm going to finish my shot of Rebel. And call it a night. Hey, thanks so much for joining me this evening. And if you're so inclined, don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave the bar. And better yet, stop by the links in the description down below and check out my novels and other werewolf hunter adjacent tomfoolery on Amazon. And come back and see us next month right here at the bar, and we'll drink a toast to summer. Until then, happy hunting and mind the moon.